for Kim Waller to the Chief Equity Officer position to order. Today is December 13th. It's 1 o'clock, and we'll start with introductions.
Mark Littlefield.
Zach Johnson.
Anna Brawley.
And Meg Zalatel. I will turn it over here to the mayor. Miss Ennis is on the phone. Should we need her? Is my understanding, D. Ennis. And then,
Yes.
okay, great. So with that, Mayor, would you like to do an introduction for us?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, and thanks to all of you for being here today. I am honored to be here for your consideration of Kim Waller's confirmation. We live in one of the most diverse places in the nation, and there's work to do when it comes to making our municipal government look like our community. I am grateful Ms. Waller is willing to bring her talents and experience to ensure that our municipal policies and programs serve everyone and that everyone has access to municipal services. Most recently, Ms. Waller served as the Senior Director of Diversity and Inclusion with the Foraker Group. She has assisted boards of directors, staff, and task forces around Alaska in their efforts to define and meet goals to create inclusive and welcoming spaces. Ms. Waller is a lifelong Alaskan who was born in Fairbanks to a Southern mother, Cynthia Ruffin Blanchett, and a father hailing from the French West Indies, Daniel Ruffin Blanchett. Kim and her sister, Chantal Ruffin Blanchett, spent their earliest years in North Pole, Alaska. Their family moved to Anchorage when she was in elementary school. Ms. Waller has a background in communications. She began her career as an intern at KTUU and moved into broadcasting at KFAT 92.9 FM before relocating to New York City to work for MTV Networks and NBC. A part of your bio I find particularly cool. Waller spent 10 years at Power 105.1, where she launched, produced, and hosted Power on the Block, a public affairs show. She received a Gracie Award for her work, a national recognition for women doing an exemplary job in media and entertainment. Ms. Waller earned her BA in mass media from New York University, where she was awarded the Stenbeck Scholarship and was a recipient of the Founders Day Award for Academic Achievement. She also earned a Master of Liberal Arts degree in journalism from Harvard University. Ms. Waller launched Women's Power League of Alaska, a network of Alaskans dedicated to strengthening the state's economy through empowering women. The nonprofit accomplishes its mission through mentorship, professional development, and community building. We are thrilled to have Ms. Waller on the municipal team. I am grateful for the talent and joy she brings with her, and I ask that you confirm her to the post of Chief Equity Officer. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Waller, would you like to make an introductory statement?
Thank you. Thank you for that. And thanks to those of you who are here today. It's a real pleasure to be in front of you. I'm Kim Waller. I serve as the Chief Equity Officer here at the municipality. And I really want to start by thanking you, the Assembly, and thanking the Mayor for elevating and supporting this office. I know that many hands have gone into the reorg of this office, and I thank you for those efforts, and I certainly appreciate that. So I've really been looking forward to today and to sharing more about the function of this office. It's unique in the way that it is highly collaborative, which is absolutely one of my main reasons for taking the gig. I am a proud product of this place, as the Mayor shared, but I moved home 6 years ago with my family, with my daughter and my husband, to be closer to my parents as they enjoy retirement, and because, you know, being a product of this place, it is an excellent place to raise children. And I've served in this community as a coach. I've been a volunteer. I've been a board member. I've served as a mentor and a professional in this community, and as I mentioned, also a mother. So I highlight that because, like most of you, I wear many hats, and as someone who is deeply vested in this community, it is truly an honor to serve. So I've been in this role for just about 3 months, as you know, and it's been a steep learning curve here at the municipality. But as mentioned, I bring a lot of joy to this work. Many of us here have already collaborated with our various roles and on boards and committees. As you know, the OEI has an internal and external component. So internally, we are responsible for language access Shout out to the Anchorage Equity Committee that helped me to really realize and understand the importance of having a highly functioning language access plan in the city of Anchorage. This is a federal requirement, and also for assigning action to our affirmative action plan. We work closely with human resources and met as recently as this morning, as you heard from our chief admin officer, to apply some thinking around the Muni's employee life cycle. So we are prioritizing the need to attract, retain, and compensate those who want to work and contribute their talents here at the municipality. And I really love that. So externally, the OEI, we develop relationships with community members and residents. That's pretty important to me in this role as well, because it allows me to better advocate and do so with an equity lens. And that really gets me going. That excites me. And I'll give you some examples. When I learn of pipes burst and the risk of seniors being displaced at Chugach Eagle River Senior Center, when I learn of the community concerns of slash services at the Boys and Girls Club from our neighbors in Mountain View, when I hear from principals and staff at ASD about their want for resources to addressing rising hate speech in schools, these are the issues that are at the heart of my work. And I look forward again to continuing to communicate with you and to sharing out broadly to the community the best ways to interact with this office, which we'll be doing at the top of the year. As you know, any work around equity must be intentional. It doesn't happen without being intentional. And it looks different based on where it's happening, right? Be it in academia, be it in organizations, large or small corporations, the nonprofit, for-profit sector, and of course here in government. So I'm eager to apply some of what I know while learning from other local governments who have already got this dialed in and are doing this work really well. I also look forward to that, more of that in the coming year. So because we know our government institutions have an enormous amount of privilege, and that comes with responsibility. The municipality of Anchorage is one of the most diverse in the nation, as you know better than me. These are the constituents you serve. And in my role, I support the work that you do and the work that is happening at the Muni. I prioritize listening with the understanding that all of our departments have separate functions and thus have different needs. So again, that's the value of developing relationships. Like when I get to sit with Chief Case at APD or with AHD Director Kim Rash or with Chief Schragi at the fire department, I'm able to better understand how each of these departments has unique needs and to better understand their strengths and weaknesses. So as we move to set goals around our affirmative action plan, also happening at the top of the year, these relationships will become increasingly important. So as I conclude, I will just say that this work takes all of us. It will take all of us. I've met with the majority of you on this body, and your feedback has helped and will help shape the function of this office. So I want to thank you in advance. In addition to the feedback from the mayor, who's prioritized good government, and you all together have passed a budget that reflects our wants and our values. Among them, safety, childcare and education, plowed roads. If we want to grow our workforce, and if we want families to stay here and enjoy the quality of life in which they deserve, these are absolutely the things that we should be thinking about. And so I will ask you, as I have asked the mayor, to share out your work with me, and I will do that with you. And I look forward to advocating alongside with each of you on behalf of the people here in the municipality. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Weller. Any questions? Anyone want to kick it off? Oh, you know me, I'm not shy. I will do so. So the work of equity and inclusion can bring to the fore some hard conversations for us, particularly as we look internally and we want to be a cohesive workforce and team. How do you imagine navigating those conversations internally, knowing that employee retention and recruitment are two of our very high, or it is a highly shared priority between the branches of government, and that when you have to have those conversations, often with the assembly, it's on the public record.
Thank you, Chair Zolotel. I will say, being a communications person, I know the importance of listening to others who have different experience. Speaking for myself, diversity is a core value in my home. We value diversity of thought. I've had the pleasure of participating on and leading diverse teams, large and small. So we know how important it is that all of our voices are in the mix, that we can hear and understand these unique perspectives, and most importantly, serving as we do and having the privilege to do that. I think that being able to navigate those conversations with the understanding that some of this work is under attack in the national discourse. It just is, right? So being able to, what I hope to do is being able to really convey not only the function and the intent of this office, because yes, there are misconceptions, right? But being able to really unite others. And I think that's important, and unite them with commonalities, because at the end of the day, we all have much more that unites us than separates us.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Anna.
Thanks. First, I appreciate your focus on policy in addition to building relationships. I think that's really important. And I know I was not on this body when this position was created, but I do very much remember the conversation and the impetus and why this position exists. So I appreciate you picking that back up as a priority. My questions are more on the external side, because you mentioned the internal work. I think that's important. I'm curious, kind of some thoughts you have on, what you'd like to, or where you'd like to take this office, outward looking to the entire community. And then specifically, I'm interested in just flagging and starting a conversation about boards and commissions, which I know is already, I appreciate the mayor's office has been getting those seats filled. I brought up one earlier this morning in a meeting that there's only one woman serving on the Public Transit Advisory Board, just as an example. And I'm only bringing that up because one of my constituents brought it up. She's serving on that, and would love to see other perspectives at the table. No shade on the folks serving there now, but just as an example, I think there's obviously many ways to think about that diversity of perspective and background and identity, as you said. But anyway, I'm curious kind of thoughts about that and how we bring more folks into the municipality. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Member Brawley. I'll start with your first question. And yes, as mentioned, this office is inward as well as outward facing. And I look forward to, at the top of the year, better communicating with those internally and externally, the best ways to interact with this office. And chief among them is going to be a presence on social media. I think for those who we want to engage with, right, we want to increase not only participation in local government, but we want to increase that interaction and make everyone feel involved and included in local government. And so, this being a highly collaborative position, I think I've put forth a light working plan in front of you all. It's still in progress, but that's why the relationships that I'm hoping to form, not just with you here on this body, but also, continue forming with, those in the community, that is going to help and better inform the function of this office. And it comes with a lot of privilege, because we are in very many ways building. And with this reorg, there are many opportunities there. And so I have a lot in mind in terms of vision, but it is not about my vision, it's about a collective vision. And we're in the process of establishing that. So thank you for asking. Also, in terms of boards and commissions, I have recently met with Anna Marie, who heads up boards and commissions, in effort to learn more about some of the diversity that is needed there. I will say, diversity means many things, right? Yes, it means age, it means race, it means gender. It also means, or it should mean, lived experience. It should mean education. In Alaska, geography is huge, right? And so Anna Marie is helping me to better understand what is needed on these boards and commissions. She actually has emailed me as recently as this morning, and I've been pulled into several meetings, but I will continue to broaden my understanding about that, because we want to make sure that our boards and commissions are represented of those in the municipality which we serve.
Thanks. And yeah, and I'm happy to partner with that too. And I think all of us are, because we all have, constituents that we would love to see, serving in those roles, and helping elevate those folks. Also recognizing that we vote to confirm. So, we want to be careful of that role. But what I've told folks is, you need enthusiasm more than expertise. So I think there's some barriers. So I'm just mentioning this now. I think people perceive, oh, I'm not an expert, or they'll see the topic and they'll think, oh, I'm not qualified enough to serve on that board. So I think that's just some things to start breaking down that, those self-limiting perceptions. And the other one, I'm glad you brought up the different ways to define diversity or ways to think about that. So in addition to the ones you mentioned, another one that I'm just curious, your thoughts on, or want to keep working on is, basically ownership status in the community. I think, a lot of the work that we're doing around housing, a lot of other policy discussions, not to get into those now, really, I think deal with, whether or not you own property in the community. And I know that's a big thing with cities is, are your constituents, or are the folks who have the most stake in the community the ones who own property, or are they the residents, right? And I think it's both, obviously. But I think there's a lot of tensions there, and just in general, the plight of renters is on my mind. And so I struggle to think about, where we fit in there, but I just want to bring that up as another dimension to think about, and kind of, I know it's broad, but thinking about how we can increase the quality of life for those folks who rent or just don't own property in our community, but still are community members. And just curious your thoughts on that.
Thank you, Member Brawley. I look forward to learning more about this, and thank you for bringing your concerns to my attention. I'm also excited to learn more about the 10,000 homes in 10 years planned, right? And we know that housing is an issue, but that tension that you're talking about between renters and owners, I'm certainly, that is something to put on my radar. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
More? Yep, Mr. Littlefield?
Thank you. Kim, I noticed you mentioned social media, and with your background, that's really great. However, there's a large group of people like myself that's not in touch with social media, and we really need to reach out to those folks too. I don't know how you're going to do it, how you plan to do it, but they need to be involved, and they really do. And everywhere I go, I tell everybody I see it starts at the community council, and that's where it starts if you want to be involved. But we need to reach out to those folks too.
Thank you, Member Littlefield. And I agree, right? It is, and that is part of that inclusive piece. So I look forward to the opportunity to learning from you and hearing, how we could better involve different demographics and specifically your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you. So I had two additional things. One is just to put something on your radar while I'm thinking about it. We did some youth recruitment for our youth member, and Deputy Ombudsman Heather McAlpine has just really managed to get great reach with her tactics on that we have had a really impressive slate of young people from a variety of backgrounds coming forward. So I just hope you two can connect so that you all can chat, because I think her experience and her great success with that are just some great lessons learned. Second is I'm channeling Mr. Constant a little bit in my brain. I'm thinking about the voices that inform our work. Often we will have a very large monetary or impactful item before us, and there is no one to testify. Or we have a big community issue and there are only the usual suspects in the room to testify. And I know we have done a good job of adding ways to be heard through email testimony, telephone. But I think we aren't necessarily always reaching the residents for very good reasons. Sometimes they're working, assembly meetings are hard to access, lots of reasons, but really been thinking a lot about what voices aren't in the room and how do we figure out ways to engage them. Contrary to popular belief, government work, for us at least, is a fast-paced. You can introduce an item one Tuesday night and 2 weeks later, it could become the law of the land and the new policy. So I'm not sure I really have a question, but just really think it's important as you think about your external facing side of things, how we get those voices in the room. Because when they are in the room, they're so valuable. We went and talked to some not traditional stakeholders when we brought the home initiative. And the feedback we got was really informative and really helped shaped how we approached something as that can feel very bureaucratic, zoning code. And we made sure we got those voices, but it took a lot of additional time and effort, but it was really well worth it. So just wanted to share that as I'm thinking about how we bring more of those voices into the municipality and our workforce, and then also how they can inform our work. You're welcome to respond.
Thank you, Chair Zolotel. I have connected with Heather McAlpine just as a note, and thank you for that. And I agree, right? Because, you know, as we did and have done in my work, you know, when we sit down at these tables making these decisions with this enormous amount of privilege that we hold, it is so crucial to ask who is not in the room. Right. So thank you for bringing that up. I mean, I really have grown to enjoy the Assembly 101 series that lives online. I want to promote that out for the same reason that you're bringing up here, right? To make sure that those within the municipality, excuse me, know how to interact with local government. So that's on my radar as well. And thank you for uplifting that.
Great. Anna?
Thank you. Yeah, the thinking about the engagement with kind of non-traditional groups, underserved groups, like there's different terms. And that brings me back to our land use plan. So again, not saying that that's your area of expertise, but there's a line in there that essentially says when you're making land use changes or changes to the plan, that it directs the municipality to go prioritize talking to underserved groups. So I mentioned that as an example of probably several areas. I imagine also our climate action plan, which has been discussed a lot. There's other plans that we have, alcohol tax strategic plan, there's plenty of them out there. And I think as we move into either updates to those plans, as has been discussed for the comp plan, or just really kind of dusting those off and saying, how do we put these into action? I think that's something to think about to the extent that maybe there's amendments or ways that we can strengthen that, and or really just using those plans as basically the footnotes for the reasoning for why we do things, right? It's not coming from nowhere. It's supported in the documents that we've already adopted. So also not a question, but just flagging that. And that's something I'm happy to help. And I know as others kind of pull these plans back up, it's something that we really should be elevating. And I think it'd be great to work with your office on that.
Thank you, Member Brawley.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. We very much appreciate it. We will let you have some of your time back on a Friday afternoon. Ms. Waller's confirmation will be before us on Tuesday night, and the item is in the consent agenda. With that, we'll be adjourned. Have a good weekend.